Hello and welcome to the Drawhunter. I am your charming host, Kevin Cleary, and this is the only football gambling podcast where we don't pick any winners. We hunt for the result that pays better than most of those win bets. We hunt for the draw. And I actually want to open this episode with a big congratulations to Aaron Rye for winning the PGA Championship major over the weekend and being the first person from England to win this championship since 1919 in over 100 years. Congratulations. Nick Faldo couldn't do it, but Aaron Rye did. So we're going to be betting on some draws this week, and like I usually say, they happen all the time. 30% of all pro matches end in a draw. It's like this every season. That's not random. That's not a fluke. It's a probability. So that's what we do here. We look for these hidden value draws where the market is pricing outcomes too heavily towards the favorites or volatility. These fixtures combine low scoring averages, balanced possession rates, historical draw frequency, and a market pricing that combine to give contrarian value for the draws that we bet on. These are the games where parity equals a payoff. Well, let's talk about our winners from a very interesting and exciting weekend of soccer from our last episode. First up, Casa Pia versus Rio Avenue in Portugal. Oh, we love both of those teams, don't we? And for good reason. They've come home for us with the draw a bunch of times this season, and they did it again, 1-1, playing against each other. This draw was priced at plus 290. That is the kind of value that I am talking about. And then we had a double pair of hits in the Premier League over in England, speaking of English champions, this weekend. Brentford versus Crystal Palace wound up 2-2. That draw was priced at plus 235. Then Wolves versus Fulham came home at the 1-1 that I actually predicted the exact score for on that one. I actually also predicted the 1-1 score on Casa Pia versus Rio Avenue, if you go back and listen to the show. But the Wolves-Fulham, that was priced at plus 225. And then we had a very fun result. Fun for us if you weren't in France to see this game. Nantes versus Toulouse ended 0-0 after 22 minutes because Nantes' home match against Toulouse in Ligue 1 was abandoned after 22 minutes when hooded ultras threw flares and stormed the pitch. And it was an apparent protest against Nantes' relegation from Ligue 1 this season. They were bad and they're going down. They won just 5 of their 33 league games. And this was their 33rd game this weekend. But supporters, not everyone, some supporters, the ones who always ruin it for all the good people, they threw flares onto the pitch in the middle of the game at the 22-minute mark or so. They broke through the barriers. They entered the field at the Stade de la Beaujoire with the score 0-0 as all the stewards struggled to hold them back. Players ran down the tunnel. Police entered the pitch to quell the protest, eventually forcing the fans to retreat. This was the last game of the season for both teams. And 40 minutes after play was stopped, they called it. They said, that's it. We're done. This game is over. 0-0. That's not how I usually like to win a draw prediction, but 0-0, and that draw was predicted at the odds on that one was plus 220. But that was a weird game. I don't even know if we should count that towards our official scores, but we're going to anyway because that's how it ended. Now, a quick programming note starting this week. I believe it's actually on Wednesday. We will be releasing a series of World Cup preview episodes. We will be handicapping every group in the World Cup for draws and winners because the World Cup is special. It's gambling heaven for those of us that like to wager on our soccer. And last week's Lucy, well, look at that. We missed it by 1. We had 4 matches: Casa Pia, Rio Ave, Nantes versus Toulouse, Brentford versus Crystal Palace. And the only one who lost it for us was Laurent versus Le Havre, when Le Havre didn't show up for the game, basically. They were there, but they didn't play like they were there. Now let's get into the picks for a small, short bunch of midweek action this week. These games take place May 19th through the 21st, 2026. That's what we're talking about in this episode. First up, I'm going out on a limb. Chelsea versus Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea is the home team here. It's being played at Stamford Bridge. They're minus 109. Tottenham is plus 260. The draw is plus 280. Ball possession rates. Chelsea, 58%. Tottenham, 50%, even though they are really stinkeroo this year. Goals, 4 goals allowed. It's almost a mirror situation here where we've got Chelsea has 55 goals scored and 49 allowed. Tottenham has 46 scored and 55 allowed. Now, there's not a big head-to-head history of draws like I usually like to point to when I make a prediction like this in this game. The last time these two teams had a draw was 4 years ago in 2022. But this season, while Chelsea are doing very well and Spurs are down near the bottom of the table, Chelsea has had 10 draws already this season, and Spurs have had 11. And there are some injuries. Mudryk is suspended from Chelsea. Estavo and Gittins have hamstring injuries. There's no injuries on the Tottenham side, which I think helps balance this one out a little bit. Because while Chelsea dominate possession, they still concede very frequently. Spurs concede even more, and they struggle to control the midfield. Both sides show a very high goals allowed, moderate goals for, similar expected goal volatility, and that makes this a classic draw profile. And I know a lot of people don't believe or agree with me on this assessment, but that's what you have to do. Sometimes you have to go out on a limb and make a stand on what you believe in, and that's what I'm doing with that game. Next up, we've got Bournemouth versus Manchester City, which is actually a very important game for Tottenham. I'm sorry, for Arsenal. Arsenal needs Bournemouth to win or tie this game, and they will have locked up the league for the season. If Man City can get a win out of this game, it makes the last game of the season matter. This is at Vitality Stadium. It's a home game for Bournemouth. They're plus 340. Man City is minus 153. The draw is plus 340. And just for that value alone, that makes me look at this game in a serious light. Bournemouth has the ball on a possession rate at 50%, which is not bad considering. Man City, they have the ball 60% rate. Bournemouth has scored 56 goals this season. They've given up 52, so they're almost even, but they're a little bit ahead. Man City, they're just a powerhouse when it comes to scoring. 75 goals this year. That's one of the most I think we've seen of almost any team that we've covered this season. 32 goals allowed, so they scored twice as much as they allowed the score. There's not a lot of draws in their history, but this season, Man City has 8 draws, while Bournemouth has 16. City dominate historically, but Bournemouth frequently keep matches within 1 goal at home. And for me, this is a value-based draw, not a structural one. Bournemouth has a defensive resilience at home, and City's occasional late-season rotation, I think, increases the equilibrium probability, as they like to say in the science part of this equation. So that's what we've got for that game. Now, the Europa League Final is taking place on, I think it's Wednesday. SC Freiburg versus Aston Villa. We've got a Bundesliga team taking on a Premier League team in this final. It's in Istanbul. It's a neutral site. But that's not helping Freiburg. They're still a plus 425 underdog here. Aston Villa is minus 153 as the prohibitive favorite. The draw is plus 280. Ball possession rates, Freiburg is 49%, Villa is 53. In the Europa League tournament this year, Freiburg has scored 25 goals. They've allowed 10. Aston Villa has scored 28 goals. They've allowed 8. There's really no meaningful historical head-to-head history between these two teams over the last several years. There's been no games. The match is at a neutral site final. So what does that mean? I always say that means the risk aversion mode will be activated by both of these coaches. I think the first half is going to see a lot of testing in the midfield and challenging in the midfield to see who's doing what and things like that. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of commitment on either team, at least in the first half of this game. So I especially like a draw for the first half. That's the first pick for this game. But Villa has 8 draws this season in the Premier League. Freiburg has 8 in the Bundesliga, and they have 2 more in this Europa tournament. Freiburg has some injuries. Rosenfeld is out with a hamstring. Cleary, Suzuki, Osterhage, all out. Villa, no major new injuries have been reported for this game. But this final has a classic draw equilibrium to it because you've got Freiburg's defensive form is peaking. They've had only 1 goal allowed in their last 3 matches. Villa's away form is volatile and not dominant. There's multiple independent models converging on 1-1 as the most likely scoreline of this game at the end of 90. And I think the draw price is slightly misaligned with the probability factor there, creating a very positive expected value for us in this bet. Now, we've got a game over in Germany in the Bundesliga, which is a relegation promotion playoff game. And you know how we like those because those also have that same risk aversion that comes into play. This is a home game for Wolfsburg, who is playing SC Paderborn 07. It's VfL Wolfsburg versus SC Paderborn, and it's at Volkswagen Arena in Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg is minus 145. Paderborn is plus 325, so they're the underdog on the road. The draw is plus 280. That seems to be the 3 out of 4 draw prices are plus 280 right now. Ball possession rates. Wolfsburg has had 52% ball possession rate on average in the Bundesliga because they're playing. It's Bundesliga playing against a second Bundesliga 2 lower league in Paderborn. Paderborn has a 50% average in the Bundesliga 2. Goals scored, Wolfsburg has scored 45 goals in the Bundesliga, and they've allowed 69. Paderborn has scored 59 goals in Bundesliga 2 and allowed 45. Both teams have 8 draws this season. They haven't played each other because they're in separate leagues. There's really no major injuries to be reported on both of these teams, but this is one of those 2-legged relegation playoff ties that are structurally draw friendly, especially the first legs, which this is, where the favorite, Wolfsburg, is incentivized not to overextend, and the underdog in Paderborn is happy to keep the tie alive so they can, have a viable second game. Both teams have both team to score heavy recent profiles and concede very regularly, but Wolfsburg's edge in quality is offset by Paderborn's attacking output. And quite frankly, the psychology, the weight in the minds of the players on the pitch of this playoff game and what it means to them personally, their league, their city, their team. So there you go. Those are 4 matches, midweek action, that I think will end in a draw. So let's talk parlays and accumulator bets. This week's Lucy, our midweek Lucy, our house weekly parlay wager, we've got 3 matches in it out of the 4 games that we have handicapped here today. We've got Wolfsburg versus SC Paderborn at plus 280. We've got SC Freiburg versus Aston Villa at plus 280. And we've got Chelsea versus Tottenham Hotspur at plus 280. So this is a Lucy plus 280 accumulator or parlay bet. And a $1 bet on this 3-leg parlay right now returns $53.87. So almost 54 to 1, according to the betting app in front of me right now. that's giving me the payoff. So that's it for this episode of The Drawhunter. I'm still your charming host, Kevin Cleary. New episodes drop twice a week. Mondays for all the midweek action, Thursdays for the weekend slate. Once again, please subscribe, give us a like, maybe a nice review for our show. You can do it at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any questions or comments, email us at drawhunterpodcast@gmail.com. From the entire Drawhunter team, thank you for listening, and remember, there's no stopping it. Draws happen. Gambling involves risk. Please gamble responsibly. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. No guarantees are made regarding results or financial gain. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. You must be of legal age to participate in gambling activities. Check your local laws and regulations before placing any bets. And finally, this podcast was made by humans. Accept no substitutes.